Do you know how to pronounce this word? Notice it begins with Hamzatul-Wasl. What happens if I add the conjunction wa before it? Can you pronounce it now? This is easy. This is actually what we studied in the previous lesson. Today, I will make it more complicated by adding the definite article al. What about now? I will even make it more and more complicated by adding the conjunction wa before al. It might look confusing at first glance, but once you follow this lesson, everything will be perfectly clear. This is exactly what today's lesson is about. We will study how adding the definite article al affects pronunciation, and we will look at some cases that look confusing, but they're actually not. I consider this the most important pronunciation rule in Arabic because it combines several concepts and explains the mechanism by which we connect words in a sentence. Understanding this rule is essential to achieve Arabic fluency in both reading and speaking. For this reason, you really need to watch the previous lesson before this one, Alif and Hamza Complete Guide, as we will rely on many concepts from it. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Mustafa Nasser speaking and you are watching Arabic Phonons. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell and like the video. If you want to download the PDF slides used in this video, you will find the link in the video description below. If you're interested in improving your English, I recommend Panic Learn. They have certified teachers who can help you reach English fluency in just 4 weeks. They will build your confidence and greatly boost your communication skills. This is suitable for both Arabs and non-Arabs. They offer 2 main plans, one for 499 Saudi Riyals and one for 249 Saudi Riyals. You can join them using the link in the video description to get a discount. Now let's begin with a question. Do you know how to define an indefinite noun in Arabic? Some people think it's as simple as adding the definite article al, just like in English. But there is actually a second step involving the case ending. As we know, indefinite nouns in Arabic end with tanween, double dhamma, double fatha, or double kasra. Whenever you add the definite article al, we must reduce the tanween to a single vowel. So, kitabun becomes al-kitabu, waladan al-walada, baytin al-bayti, and so on. This part is straightforward. However, there is a third change we must consider when adding al, and this one concerns the pronunciation more. Let's have one example to understand this third change. Do you remember exercise 1 in the previous lesson? Sala and sa'ala. Let's add a word that begins with the definite article al after each one. In the first sentence, there is an alif here, a hamza at the beginning of the second word, and an extended alif at the end. When we read it in context, the hamza at the beginning of the second word becomes silent because it occurs in the middle of the sentence. So we read it as سال الماء سال الماء سال الماء. We made a direct jump from the final letter of the first word, la, to the lam in the second word, which is the lam of the definite article. This creates a smooth connection or junction between the two words, almost as if the two words are one, written like this. Now, here is an interesting question. Can the hamza at the beginning of the second word ever be pronounced? I mean, now it's silent. Is there any possibility to make it obvious? Yes, only if we pause after the first word. When that happens, we begin a new speech segment, so the hamza will be pronounced clearly, like this. سال الماء سال الماء. However, this is not natural in reading because the sentence is one unit. سال is the verb and الماء is the subject. So they're supposed to be read together without a pause. Now let's move to the second sentence. I want you to listen carefully to how it sounds. سأل الطالب. سأل الطالب. سأل الطالب. Something unusual happened here. We were supposed to connect the lam at the end of the first word to the lam of the article al in the second word, right? But this is not what happened here. In fact, the second lam is also silent, and we jumped directly from the first lam to the letter ta. Not only that, the ta itself is doubled. It has shadda, as you see. Originally, the ta in talib is not doubled. If you remove the definite article al and make the word indefinite, there is no shadda. The shadda only appears when we add al. But why? This takes us to one of the most important rules in Arabic pronunciation, the rule of lam, which says there are two different lams of the definite article. The one that is pronounced normally, like in the first example, is called al-lam al-qamariyya, which literally means the lunar lam. And the second one will be silent, as in the second example. And this one is called al-lam al-shamsiyya, meaning the solar lam. Why is al-lam al-qamariyya pronounced and al-lam al-shamsiyya is not? It all depends on the first letter of the word. If the first letter of an indefinite noun is one of what we call the solar letter, al-huruf al-shamsiyya, then the lam of the definite article will be solar as well, which means it will be silent. On the other hand, if the first letter of the word is one of the lunar letters, al-huruf al-qamariyya, then the lam of the definite article is going to be lunar as well, which means it will be pronounced. Here are the lunar and solar letters. They are called solar and lunar in reference to the classic examples of the two words sun and moon, which clearly demonstrate the rule. You don't have to memorize them to be able to know which lam will be pronounced and which will be silent. Honestly, I don't recall memorizing them in school. This is something you gain by practicing. Let me give you a visual sign to differentiate between the two lams. Just look at the first letter after L. If you see shadda, it means it is a solar letter and the lam of L will be silent. And if you don't see shadda, it means it's a lunar one and the lam will be pronounced. So the process of defining an indefinite noun in Arabic will expand to involve a third step that checks the lam of the definite article. If the first letter of the word is a lunar letter, we stop at the first two steps, add the definite article L, and reduce the tanween to a single vowel. However, if the first letter is a solar, then this letter will be doubled with a shadda, and the lam of L will be silent. Now let's practice the two most obvious words in this rule, the words qamar and shams. The word qamar is indefinite. How did we know? Obviously from the tanween at the end. Sometimes the tanween is temporarily dropped because the case ending has not been determined yet. But let's assume it is dhamma. We pronounce it as qamarun in 3 syllables. Qamarun. Qamarun. If we want to make it definite, we shall add the definite article al at the beginning, then replace the tanween, which is the double dhamma at the end, with a single dhamma. But that's not all. We must do a final check of solar and lunar. The first letter here, qaf, is one of the loners, so we're lucky. No further adjustment is needed, and all letters will be pronounced normally. So it will be al-qamaru in 4 syllables this time. Al-qamaru. Al-qamaru. The second example. Again, we're assuming the case ending is kasra. Shamsin. 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 So we follow the same steps to make the word definite. Step 1. Add the definite article al. Step 2. Reduce the tanween from 2 kasras to 1. And step 3. Check whether the first letter is lunar or solar. The letter sheen is solar. So step 3 is activated. We add shadda on top of the first letter, sheen, and keep in mind that the lam of al will be silent. Thus, the correct pronunciation is ash-shamsi, ash-shamsi, ash-shamsi. Never say al-shamsi, al-shamsi. That's wrong, because the lam here is silent and the sheen is doubled. As we learned in the previous lesson, the definite article al begins with Hamzatul-Wasl, which becomes silent in the middle of connected speech. Let's try these two words in the middle of a sentence to notice the changes. I'll use the same technique as before, adding the conjunction wa before each one. In the case of the lunar lam in the word al-qamar, the hamza becomes silent and we jump directly from the wa to the lam like this. Wal-qamaru, wal-qamaru, wal-qamaru. Take note. The hamza of al is silent while the lam is pronounced. Now let's try the word ash-shams. Here, both the alif and the lam are silent, but for two different reasons. The hamza is silent because it's in the middle of connected speech according to the rule of Hamzatul-Wasl, and the lam is silent because it is a solar lam. So it becomes wash-shamsi, wash-shamsi, wash-shamsi. Let's have another example. These two words are indefinite. I'll just assume that the first one ends with dhammah ending and the second with fatha. In this case, there will be an additional silent alif as we studied in the tanween lesson. Take a moment to figure out the pronunciation as they are now. Well, the first one is gonna be ma'un in 2 syllables. Ma'un, ma'un. And the second will be rajulan in 3 syllables. Rajulan, rajulan. Now let's make them definite. The first 2 steps never change. Step 1, add the definite article. Step 2, reduce the tanween to a single vowel. And as you can see, the additional alif at the end of rajul is now gone. Then comes the third step, checking for solar or lunar. I'll let you think about the final pronunciation before I do it for you. Well, the first one will be al-ma'u in 3 syllables. Al-ma'u, al-ma'u. This one is easy because the first letter, meme, is lunar, and so is the lam of its definite article. That's why it's pronounced. In the second example, the first letter, ra, is solar. So it will be doubled. We need to add a shadda. And don't forget that ra already carries a fatha. So the shadda will merge with it like this. And since the lam of L is solar, it will be silent. Therefore, the correct pronunciation is الرجل in 4 syllables. الرجل الرجل. Let's take the final step and add the conjunction where. Again, take a moment to predict the pronunciation. Okay, let's do this. The first one will be والماء, where only the hamza of the definite article becomes silent. والماء والماء. As for the second one, both the hamza and the lam of the definite article will be silent, while the shadda remains fully active. So the result is والرجل والرجل والرجل. To master the difference between اللام الشمسية and اللام القمرية, follow the same powerful exercise and practice it 3 times for every word in these 2 tables. 1 time as an indefinite noun, a second time after adding L, and a third time after adding where before L. Let's take the first word as an example. Abun. Now add L, al-abu, then add where before L. Wal-abu. So, abun, al-abu, wal-abu. And pay close attention to the alif and lam in each word to hear the pronunciation changes. The tables are in the PDF slides you can download from the link below the video. In the next lesson, we will practice more powerful and confusing examples, and we will identify some cases in which we need both the rule of alif and the rule of lam. Don't forget to subscribe my channel, activate the bell, and like the video. See you in the next lesson.